this video, we're going to go over a few of the data types that you can use for numbers. The 6 ones we're going to go over are byte, short, int, long, float, and double. And we're going to do it in that order. Probably saw an earlier video where, well, let me get the main class up first, or the main method, sorry, it's not a class. You saw an earlier video where I would type in int a, or int x equals 5, I believe that's what I used for that number. And that sent the letter x, which is just the variable I'm using, to equal 5. Whenever I typed int here, that meant it was an integer. We're going to back up and we're going to start at byte. So I can type in byte, on the stuff that's easy to remember. So the name of our byte is byte, so it's easy to remember. Equals, let's go with 50. Now a byte, that can be anywhere from negative 128 to positive 127. It has to be one of those numbers or something in between them. And it cannot have a decimal. And I'll show you how these work. Like I said, you can't have a decimal. Let's say byte divided by 50 equals, and then we're going to print out, let's divide it by 3 instead. I'll divide all this stuff by 3. So then I would do byte divided by 3. And I'm not getting an error statement here, but you notice 3 will not go into 50 evenly. It's just going to forget about that decimal. So I'm going to run this program. 50, or byte divided by 3 equals 16. That's what I'm getting right here. I'll put 50 in parentheses here. So 50 divided by 3 equals 16, but if you think about it, 16 times 3 is going to be 48. What they did there is they just completely forgot about the decimal. They don't round up or down, or they always round down no matter what, I guess. Another data type we can use is a short, which a short is a little bit longer. It's anywhere between negative 32,768 to positive 32,767. You'll notice all these are powers of 2 on the negative side and a power of 2 minus 1 on the positive side. We'll call the short shorty. Equals, let's go 5,000. A short also cannot have a decimal. We'll go shorty, which is 5,000 divided by 3, because we know that it cannot be divided evenly. Equals, oops, I accidentally hit caps lock, shorty over 3. Oh, and I need a plus there, so it knows that it's putting this at the end of that string. And notice that shorty doesn't have a decimal. This would be 0.66666, just going forever. And we'll put some comments on here for you so you know exactly what everything is going to. I'll move that up a line. Let's see, we need a byte is negative 128 through 127. Next data type we're going to go over is an integer, which is what it sounds like, except we're just going to call it int. We'll name it integer. Again, we could type anything for byte, shorty, and integer. It's just easy to remember. And we'll go ahead and make this 10,000. Integer 10,000, I believe that's 10,000 divided by 3. Again, this will not be equal. This won't actually be the right answer because it's not going to give me a decimal. It's just going to drop the decimal. So integer divided by 3. and we'll put out here and it's from -2 to the 31 through 2 to the 31 minus 1. And that's not 2 to the 30th, that's, you take 2 to the 31st power and subtract 1. You see how these are each one number different, these are each one number different, between positive and negative. These are, oh, sorry, that shouldn't be here anymore. You'll get, I'll probably go over that later on in the video. Actually, I'll probably go over that in the C221 course, like why those numbers are chosen more in depth. So our next thing, we have a long, we'll call it string cheese, because that's always nice and long. We'll call that 50,000, system string cheese, which is 50,000 divided by 3 equals a long, that will not have a decimal either. A long can be from -2 to the 63rd power through 2 to the 63rd power, and like always, we have to subtract 1 at the end. Then a float and a double. These two types are similar. Don't worry about these. These are, a double's a little bit bigger. Just know that they can both handle decimals. If you have to have a decimal, either use a float or a double. What exactly the range of these are is beyond the scope of this video. It gets kind of tricky. 0.8. And we'll just go with 100,000, and then we'll vote 100,000 divided by 3. If you'll notice, this one actually will give me a decimal. So vote over 3. And the double will give me a decimal too. So double, we'll call it twice, equals 100,000, and we'll call it twice, which is 100 divided by 3 equals, and then we'll put this over there. So if we run this program, notice the two that are getting the decimal are twice and vote, which those are our float and our double. Those each get the decimal. Whenever I did twice, that gets a longer decimal than vote did, because a double is bigger than a float. And none of these up here got a decimal. There should be a decimal in all of them, because the like 5,000 isn't divisible by 3, 50,000 isn't. None of these are divisible by 3. I picked those on purpose. And something that will give me an error, which if you may have trouble with at the beginning, is, like, let's say I want to have an integer, which everyone knows is a positive, or just a whole number, it doesn't have to be positive. If I have 100.9, or I'm sorry, 10,000.9, I get an error because it's an incompatible type. The computer knows that it has to be a whole number. Even if I try putting 0.0, it does not like the decimal at all. So if you're having trouble getting the right answer with something, try changing it to a different data type, and double is always your safe bet. Alright, I hope this video helped you get a better understanding of this. If you want some practice on your own, try doing some calculations, and then using a regular calculator to compare the answers and make sure you're getting the same thing every time.